Preacher Bear saying your mic is on, Ed. I know. Good morning, everyone. We are live. Happy Friday. We've got to the end of the first week of our Forest School lessons. I hope you've been enjoying them. My name's Ed Stafford. If you don't know me, I make Daft Discovery Channel survival shows, and you might have seen me on there. And then 10 years ago, I walked the length of the Amazon River, which was a Guinness World Record. No one's ever done it before or since, although somebody is walking it backwards at the moment, and they've been at it for about 3.5 years, which is quite extraordinary. Today we're going to do everything fire. Yesterday Stephen made an amazing bow and arrow, and there was really some really nice skills in there that I took away myself. Just really simple stuff that you go, oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? Like not storing it, if it's a live piece of wood, not storing it strung, storing it straight so it retains its tension. I thought that was all great stuff. I'm going to tell you what you need to take part in this lesson, because it's fire and because it's wet outside and we're indoors, and because a lot of you will be following this. I'm imagining indoors as well. We're not going to actually light a fire indoors. I think that would be a disaster. I think your parents will probably agree that would be an utter disaster. So the thing that we're going to join in live is how to waterproof a box of matches. So for that you will need a box of matches. Ideally, strike anywhere matches, not safety matches. And strike anywhere matches have got a little bit of, it's almost like sandpaper down the side, rather than the sort of the safety match, which is a bit of a smoother side. And so you're going to need those, and you're going to need a candle. But that's all you're going to need for the taking part bit in the lesson. Let's do a few shout outs while people go and find their bits and bobs. If you've got any questions, then please pop them in now. Paru Ram says, hi Ed, good day. Hello mate. Family. Gruey, say hi. Preacher Bear says good morning. Recognising a few of these names now as we're getting to the end of the week. Louise Plays says good morning to all. For the Youth says morning from Horsham. Esna Clan says morning from Joel and Amy in Yorkshire. Hi Joel and Amy. Mega Jazz 17 says morning Ed. Theo from Newark, ready to go. Hope you are well. Nice one, mate. Viv Azir says good morning again from Christina and Matthew in Gambia. You should come over and explore our outdoors. Gambia, we've got people following from Gambia. That's extraordinary. Also people from Lutterworth. Hello Neil. That is not far from me. Grew up near Lutterworth, little village called Mousley. Ben in Marlborough says hi. Mr. Sweet and the Woodland Boys say hi. Jack and Holly from Dumfries say hi. Evan from Sandford says hello. Hi from Luke and Watson. Luke Watson, I think that's meant to be. Tristina says good morning Ed. Corey and Hayden say hello. Morning from Maria and Jim. Loads of amazing shout outs. Sorry that I can't read them all. There's only a sort of limited amount I can do. So this morning we're going to be talking everything fire. Now I suppose indoors this is potentially a dangerous thing to be teaching. So at the top of the show I am going to say please do not light a fire indoors. Anything that I'm teaching is meant to be taken outdoors. The only thing we're going to actually do that's interactive is we're going to make a waterproof set of matches, but even that involves a naked flame because we're going to be burning a candle. So definitely if you've got kids, or if you are a kid, or if you're watching this as a family, then please, it's adult supervision when we're using candles, and we're using them in a safe place, that if we drop the candle it's not going to set fire to anything. So ideally somewhere like a kitchen which has got less flammable surfaces, and ideally over a metal tray as well would be perfect. In this environment I have got a stone floor, so I know that it's not going to catch light, but absolutely imperative, no lighting fires indoors. I think I've made myself clear. Fire we're going to go all the way through. Let's just run through what we're going to cover in the lesson. We're going to go through how to waterproof a set of matches. A lot of you may have a ferrocerium rod or a ferro rod. You can buy them very cheaply at outdoor stores. They're often advocated as being a really good way to light a fire even if they get wet. So you can literally dunk this in a bucket of water, which I have here on hand for safety purposes, and it will still obviously be able to light a fire. We're going to do that with a bit of cotton wool, but again, that's for practicing after the lesson, because I'm imagining most people are going to be watching this indoors. And then at the end of the lesson, I'm going to run you through the bow drill, and the bow drill is probably the easiest, I think, fire by friction method, and it's not at all unattainable. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'd love to have all these outdoor skills, that would be really cool if I could actually do it, but you know, it's only achievable by Bear Grylls or Survivor Man or whoever is on TV. It's not. It's actually really easy. I'm going to let you into a massive secret. When I went on Olarua, which was the island that I went on for 60 days to survive, when the programme got commissioned, I couldn't light a fire with a bow drill. I'd never tried it. I walked the Amazon using a lighter, and I had a load of spare lighters in my bag, in a Ziploc bag. Why wouldn't you? You know, you go through the military, you don't get taught survival unless you're in the very elite military. And so I came out as an expedition leader, not being able to use things like a bow drill or a hand drill or a bamboo fire saw. But when the programme was commissioned, I thought, Ed, maybe this is a good time to learn these things. And I used to take the mickey out of people who would, you know, sit in front of Star Trek with a metal tray in their living room and practice fire by friction day after day after day. Used to call them geeks. But I totally and utterly reverse that now. Having learnt these skills, and they are, let's face it, extraordinarily accessible and achievable, and hopefully, even though today is just a demonstration in this, if you're keen, let me know in the comments, and I'll do a whole lesson on the bow drill to get everyone up to speed as to how to make it, how to construct it, and all of the different techniques. But just a little taster today, but they're all extraordinarily achievable. And once you know them, it's not geeky at all. The fact that you can walk into the woods, you can go outdoors, and if you haven't got a lighter, you can make fire. It's extraordinarily freeing. It just enables you to be more confident and more relaxed, enjoy the outdoors more, and that's why we're doing all of these sessions at the end of the day. I'm a massive advocate of the outdoors being a healthy thing to do, but as I said on Monday, there's only so many dog walks you can do, and there's only you know, so many times you can go out and build it down. You need to build up your skills. You need to have things that are a sort of repertoire so that you can go out longer, and that includes just dressing correctly. You know, having a thermal underlayer, something like a merino wool base layer next to your skin makes such a massive difference. The amount of people that I've seen outdoors over the last week who say, oh, it's really chilly, it's like chilly to the core, and they're wearing a cotton t-shirt underneath their massive jackets, and cotton obviously wicks your heat away from your skin. If you've got to wear a cotton t-shirt because you want the logo or whatever, put a base layer underneath it and then put a cotton t-shirt over. That's a nice way of doing it. There's stories of people who've climbed up Ben Nevis and would have gone down with hypothermia. They were just wearing a cotton t-shirt and a woolly jumper, and the advice given to them was to just swap them round, which sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? So take both items off, put the woolly jumper on first, then put the cotton t-shirt on, and as a sort of windbreaker, and then they survived, didn't get hypothermia, and couldn't be. So it's not just technical stuff, it's just basics of understanding how to enjoy the outdoors a little bit easier. Okay, what are we going to start with? Let's start with something that hopefully guys will be able to take part in. So if you were away collecting your matches, then this is a good time to recap. I've not really said anything that exciting. Let's just see if we've got any questions come in before I zoom the camera in close on this box. A bow drill, a bow drill, a bow drill. I think that's a request for a bow drill lesson in more detail. Yes, I want to know how to make the bow drill. Best words to use for drill fires. Yes to bow drill, yes to bow drill. All right, Friday's my fire day. And so Friday next week, I will go through the bow drill in detail, how to source the wood, what kinds of wood are good, and just demystify it really, because you know, this is fire by friction. This is creating a flame in the palm of your hand. Surely it's a mystical thing that isn't achievable by anyone. Absolute rubbish. If you're, let's go for 7 as a sensible cut-off date. I would say anyone over the age of 7 years old can learn how to do this. with good instruction in about half an hour to an hour. You know, it really isn't that complicated. It doesn't require the same sort of muscle memory or strength in your hands that the hand drill requires, because the hand drill you're actually using your hands to spin the stick, whereas this one you're using a bow. So it takes a lot of the effort out of it, and it should be a really nice relaxed motion. So we'll do that next Friday. This is awesome, says Corey, thank you very much. Hi from Nottingham, hi from Lichfield. I used to train soldiers in Lichfield back in a previous life. Hat from Latvia, amazing. That's Ronald's. Chris Jones says morning from South Wales. Ada and Miriam. Laura Diana says morning Ed from Max and Sam in Somerset. Hi guys. Rebecca says hi, love your work. Keeping us sane here in Dartmoor. Love from Tilly and Lottie. And Luke from Norfolk also saying hello. Right, so thank you all for all these positive comments. That's amazing. Don't clap too close to the microphone because it will explode people's ears if you're watching it with surround sound on your big telly. Waterproofing a set of matches. Why would you want to do this? Now, often you could find that you're in an environment where, at the moment even, it's really cold. And have I got a lighter on me? Lighters often don't function very well in the cold. They also start playing up at altitude. They've got moving parts, so they're inherently slightly prone to break. And as anyone who uses a lighter often knows, you know, they don't last forever. And if, in an expedition scenario, that could be potentially a failing. So, strike anywhere matches are extraordinarily difficult to get. I went out last night to try and buy some strike anywhere matches because we only had safety matches in the house. I went to M&S, I went to Tesco's, I went to Sainsbury's, I went to Waitrose, I went to Lidl, I went to Aldi. None of them had strike anywhere matches, so we ended up putting it on the village group chat, and Phil and Ruth luckily had some strike anywhere matches that they bought in bulk over the internet because they're so difficult to get. But basically the difference is safety matches will only strike on the box that they come in, and that's why they're safety, whereas strike anywhere matches will strike on the floor. They will that's why they're called strike anywhere matches, because and that, for obviously obvious reasons, outdoors is so much more reliable. So we're talking a dry rock, so the underside of rocks often that haven't got wet. Your zip also can work to strike these, and so they're a far more reliable option. So it's worth Googling it, finding out somewhere that sells strike anywhere matches, and these are super useful. So at this stage, I'm going to zoom in the microphone on my little stool there. I'm not going to zoom in the microphone, that would be ridiculous. I'm going to zoom in the camera. Okay. The reason that Laura isn't my glamorous assistant is because we've got twin girls, and they're 5 months old. And if I go really low, you can actually see my face still. And they're 5 months old, and so she's looking after them full time. And I thought having a glamorous assistant, even though Laura is extraordinarily glamorous, would be a disaster if she's also got twins while we're live broadcasting. So I've taken the matches out of the box. I've just put them to one side on the floor, and what I'm first of all going to do, and this is to make a waterproof box of matches. So if you're going on a canoe trip and you want a fail-safe fire lighting method, even if you have fallen into the water and all your kit's got drenched, and your dry bag, even though you've meant to have done it up correctly, has come undone. Everything's got drenched. If these matches are submerged in the water, they're still going to be usable afterwards, okay? So this is bomb-proof to make sure you always know that you've got something you can light a fire with. So as you can see, I've taken the matches out, and now if you're taking part in this live at home, then please do that too. Light your candle safely, adult supervision, and we're just going to create a layer of wax, and hopefully you can see that over the whole of the bottom, sound like my wife, bottom of the matchbox, and we're going to build this layer up, and I'm just going round in circles. You probably won't be able to see that. If I tilt the bottom, you will. And I'm just waterproofing the bottom layer. So the whole of the bottom of the box is going to be covered in wax. Stephen, who I learnt this trick of, does a lot of very, very cool trips in Alaska. And when he said on Tuesday, somebody asked him the question, have you done any survival stuff as extreme as Ed? And he said, no, not as extreme as Ed. That is utter rubbish. That man at 17 years old lived using natural materials and a handful of tools that were carefully selected. He travelled in the Arctic for 6 months on his own. So he looked after himself for 6 months above the Arctic Circle on his own at the age of 17. Now, if that isn't surviving for real for that duration of time, then I don't know what is. Extraordinarily capable but humble as well, which is always nice, isn't it? So I've gone around that, and I've pretty much covered the bottom of my matchbox. I'm now going to safely put the candle to one side, and fortuitously it sits quite nicely in the little recession in the stool. I'm now going to put a layer of matches along the bottom, so just one match thick all the way along. So if you're doing this at home, again, the wax on the floor, on the bottom of the box, will will cool and solidify very, very quickly. So when you've got one complete layer on the bottom, then obviously you're going to start dripping again. And I've almost got that. More fiddly than you think, getting them all to line up. And it's a bit of investment, isn't it, in doing this. You might think, oh, really can't be bothered, but I can assure you that when you are in a situation where you've been dunked in water in a very cold environment, and you need to get a fire going, not just for comfort and morale, but to save your life, to dry all your kit out, then I think half an hour of meticulous work waterproofing a box of matches is going to be a worthwhile thing to do. So you can see what I'm doing, but in case you can't, I've made a single layer of matches, and I'm now dripping wax onto the top, and I want to cover all those matches basically. I don't want to just cover the tips. This isn't about making individual matches, because at the end of the day, in a survival situation, you don't want just a few individual matches. And loads of YouTube videos of how to waterproof individual matches with things like nail polish and like you want loads, let's face it. You don't want to just have a few. You want a whole box of waterproof matches, and once these are ready, you'll then be able to just gently tease with the tip of your knife, just tease one individual match off, and the rest will stay waterproof. And that is one of the beauties of this. So let's do some shout out. Can I do some shout outs while I'm doing this? Let's have a look. Probably not. Lots of people still saying they would love to see the bow drill lesson. Cool, we're doing that on Friday. So somebody said, I think Charlie said, my dad has been trying for ages to light a fire using a bow drill and can't do it. Well, your dad needs to tune in next Friday then. It's not rocket science, and a lot of people make out that it's harder than it is, and it really isn't. I did a talk with Medbourne scouts a couple of years ago now, and I was so impressed that every single leader, there was 4 leaders there, adult leaders, and they all knew a different type of fire making skill. So there was one on the bow drill, there was one on the hand drill, there was one using percussion. Can't remember what the 4th one was, but how impressive is that in a scout troop that to have leaders with that skill set depth? Brilliant, really, really nice. But as I said, achievable. So I am going to speed this up a little bit. Now, you should find you've covered them all completely. That you can already see, can't you, that is going to be waterproof. You then put another layer on, drip it on, waterproof it. You then put a 3rd layer, and you probably find that you're running out of space at that stage. But then you can put them back in, and obviously if your kit hasn't got saturated, then you can still use the striker on the outside of the box. If it has got saturated, then don't worry about that, because that's why we've got strike anywhere matches, and you can just strike them on a rock. So again, I haven't completed this, but I would do 2 more layers, but I'm going to expedite this somewhat. Let's zoom out before I do. I always end up saying words that I don't even know that I know. Expedite, that's a good word, isn't it? Right. I put my knife on this morning. It's a little faux pas red, wasn't it? Let's use a pen instead. So let's dunk this in water. So I'm actually submersing the whole matchbox in water. Take it out, and I'm just going to tease one of the matches out, and I would do this with a knife and just take one off the outside. And then if you've still got wax on the very end, then rub that off. But that strikes perfectly, and that has been underwater, and it's bomb-proof. You know, that really is a bomb-proof and natural way of waterproofing your matches. So I suppose learning points here are that it's not safety matches, it's strike anywhere matches, and they're really difficult to find. So worth doing a little hunt online, I would say. And then just a candle, and again, we'll use one of your mum's posh candles that she's saving for Christmas time. Or an advent candle or anything like that. Just use an old stub, and that will be a nice, thrifty and good way of waterproofing your matches. Okay, Matthew from Norwich has watched all week and loves the videos. Hi Matthew, thank you for watching, mate, I appreciate that. Shout out to William, age 9. Hello William. Did we just wax the wood? No, you wax the wood and the tip. So the most important bit is the phosphorus end of it. So you want to wax the whole of it, and eventually what you should find is you've got 3 layers of matches that you can't see. So if you can see an exposed bit of match, then you're not doing it correctly, and you should just add a bit more wax. And so you could pop the whole thing, once it's set, pop the whole thing out of the box, and you've just got a cube of matches, and almost like an ice cube if you were to put them all in an ice cube and freeze them. So you can't see the outside of any of them at all, and so they're just protected. You know, wax is impermeable, therefore it's a really nice, fail-safe and cheap way of making waterproof matches. And also it's safe to do indoors, which is obviously why I chose it. Have you ever been to Stanage Edge in Derbyshire? I do recognise the name, and I'm sure I have. I spent quite a lot of time in the Peak Districts as a cub and a scout growing up. That was from Daisy Wallace. We got Yikjan Zhu following again. Hello mate, you've been very loyal and been here all week as well. Isaac saying I would never found that out myself. Good mate. Isabel and Harry say hi. They've loved watching your videos this week. Hi Isabel, hi Harry. Oh my god, I want Japanese subtitles. I can't understand anything you're saying. I apologise. I would do this in multiple languages, but I think that's above my pay grade. Thinking good for younger kids who can't get a Ferro Rod to strike. I don't know what that point is. This is a great exercise from you, Bastian. All right, guys. Primrose, age 4 in Norfolk, has been watching all of the videos and loves them. Hello, Primrose. And I look a bit dodgy on all fours like that, don't I? So let's pause those for a second. Right, okay. Now, you've probably seen Bear Grylls use these, and they are a really nice, easy demonstration, and they're a really safe way for kids to get involved in actually starting a fire if you're not going to use matches or a lighter. So it's the very, very foothills of alternative ways to start a fire. So all you need is normal cotton wool balls out of your mum's cupboard. But what you do want to do, because this is where the sparks are going to land, is you want to fluff it up. You want to tease out some of the fibres so that it's really fine, so you're increasing the surface area. And with tinder, what you want is an incredibly dry, flammable material, but you want it to be as fine as possible. So I've got a tinder bundle here, for example, which is made out of straw. But in the middle, I've got a really, really fine straw, which I've rubbed with my hands, and I've worked and tried to break down all the fibres, and it's the increased surface area that you're basically looking for. These sort of things are, in practice, once you've been doing them a little bit of time, they're incredibly easy, but it does require a little bit of dexterity. First of all, you've got to get a feel for striking them. I usually, and obviously you can get ones that go on a knife, but I'm just going to use one that comes in a kit that's way under £10 from an outdoor shop, and it's got its own metal striker on it, and it's got a ferrocerium or ferro rod here. Now, this is basically a bit like magnesium. It's a combination, it's an alloy basically, but it will produce sparks that are extraordinarily hot. Okay, and so it's a bit like percussion is the method of lighting a fire, where you get a rock which has got a high iron content, and you strike it with either a bit of steel or another rock, and you create a spark. Now, the sparks that are produced then in a natural setting aren't that hot, and so it's a lot harder to do from natural substances. But the sparks that come from this, I can't remember exactly, I was meant to look it up before the lesson, I think are over 400 degrees Celsius, so they're very, very, very hot, and they only last a tiny bit of time, but when they land on a flammable substance, obviously it can make fire. So, and again, pop this, submerge this in water, it doesn't matter at all. So it's something really handy. You might want to carry it around your neck, you want to put it in a pocket or the top of your rucksack, but even if this is still dripping wet, it will make a fire. But I am going to dry it on my top. Right, and then I'm on my knees. I think that's probably a safe way to place sort of position to start. I'm holding the striker in my right hand because I'm right-handed and I can move it. I'm not just holding the left one still out in the air like this, because this will be quite hard to control. This whole forearm is locked into my knee here, and and I will position the cotton wool underneath it rather than being out here or being off balance or floating up in the air. And you can see how the tip is almost touching the top of the cotton wool as well. So it's a very, very controlled position. Now, top tip, before you actually start trying to make a strike, you can actually rub off some of the alloy, little flakes, into the onto the top of the cotton wool, and you'll be able to see little bits of dust just landing on the cotton wool, and this will obviously, they'll all ignite, so it will increase the chances of being able to light a fire. So once you've rubbed a few of those off, now remember, this hand's locked off. Your right hand, or if you're left-handed, you'd lock this hand off, hold the magnesium, the ferro rod in this hand, and then strike with the other hand. But I'm not, I'm left-handed, and it's just a nice firm strike, and you can see 2 strikes, and that is going, okay? It's easy, but it will take you a little while to get the right bite, and by that I mean if you're just tickling the surface, you'll get a little bit of powder off it, which is fine because you need a bit to put on the top of the cotton wool, but you need a bit of a bite, a bit like when you're sharpening a knife, and you can tell that you're actually grinding into the metal because it bites. You can feel it. It's one of those things that you have to do in order to feel it, and then you go, oh yeah, I get that, I've got it. So I'm going to pop that in my water. And again, this is not one to be doing indoors. This is not a follow along thing. This is one for you to be doing after the lesson when you're outdoors. But these are incredibly useful things, but it can be frustrating. And if you have a 5-minute play at it and you've not been taught how to use it, it can be, look, this is unachievable. But as you can see, lock that arm in place, put your cotton wool on the floor, fluff up your cotton wool first, put a few filings onto the top of it, strike it, and nice and firm so you can feel the bite. And that is a really, really nice method, especially for kids who are getting into this initially. A really nice way of lighting a fire or igniting a fire without having matches or a lighter. Cool. How are we doing for time? It is already past. That is extraordinary. So we're going to finish on a bow drill demonstration, but let's just do a little shout outs before that. Do you still do survival in the wild on Discovery Channel? I am waiting on news as to whether I'm going to fly out to film a series imminently. Just don't know is the honest answer. It's all COVID, it's all countries that you can fly into or not fly into, and you know, we have just today put limitations on everyone from South America coming into the UK, so it's just like things change every single day, and I'm on the phone to my agent every single day looking for an update, finding out when we can fly, when we can go and film again, but it's going to be a little while, I think, but fingers crossed as soon as possible. But yes, I do, and they are all working to try and make it happen, which is ace. Okay, hi from Sarah and Edith. How do I stop my carpet burning? From Gary. Gary, I have told you not to do this indoors, but if your carpet really is alight, get some water fast. I tried the pull method where the striker stays still and the rod moves, bit more difficult but gets better sparks. Yeah, you can do that. Shall I run through that? Right. You can also lock the metal bit in place and then hold on, let's hold this. I'd have to do that with that hand. You can also hold the metal bit in place so that that's the solid bit and the rod moves. So rather than striking down with the bit of metal, you're actually holding that in place and drawing the rod back up with your left hand. So it doesn't really matter, is the honest truth, whether you're moving one downwards or one upwards. The idea is that whichever one is going to stay still locks into your leg. So if I was holding the metal still, I would lock it into my right leg. If I was holding the ferro rod still, I would lock it into my left leg. As long as they're still, you'll get sparks landing in the same place, and that will work. Where are you? I'm from the fire department and we need your help. Right, okay. Oh, it says, Fireman Sam, where are you? Right, these sort of jokes are not appreciated. Please make sure you are not lighting fires indoors. Would all the matches get stuck together? Yes, they do, but if you've made your little box of waterproof matches, where did I stick mine? They're up there. They do all stick together, but that's the point. You just then have to tease with the tip of your knife or with a screwdriver or something like that. Just tease one match out, and then you can use that to strike anywhere, okay? With Forest School, he said, yes, kneel on one leg so you can back away from the fire quickly. Oop, I suppose you could do that, yeah. So that, but I mean, you're talking about such a controlled little fire that you should be able to move back fairly easily. But if you feel that you can move back quicker by kneeling on one leg, then please do that. Right, I'm going to stand up just because my leg is going numb and I want to do a bow drill method. So you're going to get, lack of Ed's head for a little while whilst I read out some more Great tip, says Bastian. Thanks, mate. Tomorrow is Stephen live. No, tomorrow is Saturday, so there's nobody live tomorrow. Stephen will be back on Monday, and we're going to alternate days, and Stephen is taking cooking on Monday, and so fingers crossed you'll get something more edible than than you got from me on Monday, because Stephen's actually a pretty amazing chef. Hi from 4-year-old Callum. Hello, mate. Charlie and Adam Hollier. Hello. What's the best material to strike onto, please? Okay, and so in the wild, birch bark is amazing. If you find a fallen birch tree, then you can take a section of bark off and you can scrape it with a knife and get really nice fine particles, again, a bit like the fineness of the cotton wool, and that works really well, but make sure that the tree is dead and fallen. Or if you want to get birch bark off a birch that is living, you just take the very wispy bits on the outside of a living birch tree and you can just peel them off and they don't damage the tree at all. What we never do is take a knife into the bark of a living birch tree and start taking out a big chunk of birch bark. That's not on. So if you're taking big strips of birch bark, it's from a dead fallen tree, and if you're wanting to use it for firelighting purposes because it's got loads of flammable properties inside the bark, then you're just taking the wispy bits off living trees. So that's probably the most natural material. I was demonstrating just use cotton wool buds from your mum's or dad's even cupboard. Okay, let's do a little bow drill demonstration because it is 10:36 and we're already 6 minutes over our little half an hour session, which is never half an hour, is it? Okay, this is a fast bow drill demonstration because we're going to go through it on Friday next week. Well, I'll take you through materials and everything, but you need a bow, and the bow is going to do all of the circular movement, and the circular movement is to make the drill spin in the half board. Okay, so you've got a drill that's spinning in the half board. This is called fire by friction bow drill. Then you need something called a bearing block, and I'm using a little shell here, and because the heat goes through the shell, I've got a little piece of leather to go over the top. You could just use another bit of wood as a bearing block, but ideally it's green wood so that it doesn't create the same amount of heat. So I'm just gonna, this is purely little demonstration to give you a teaser for the proper lesson. And then we've got a little ember pan there as well. Am I all in shot? If I go to there, yeah. Okay, I've then got quite a nice wide stance. I've got almost like a triangle on the floor. I've got 1 foot there, my knee there, and my other knee there. I'm not in a straight line so that I'm gonna wobble over. I'm in a nice triangle formation. I'm going to put the drill into the hearth board, and I'm going to wrap this left arm around my leading leg, and I'm going to apply downward pressure. And then I'm just going to go backwards and forwards. And you can see how smoke is coming off that, hopefully. Okay. Pop it all to one side. If you've got, don't do this indoors. And the thing to look for, if you've got an ember, is that there's smoke still continuing to rise from it. And indeed there is. There's a massive ember there. And you can see that only took, what did that take, 30 seconds or so? You see, that's a nice ember. I'm going to wait until the bow drill lesson next week to transfer it into a tinder bundle and then blow it into flames. But at this stage, I would transfer that into the heart of my tinder bundle, and then holding the tinder bundle above me, I would then blow it into flames. But I'm indoors in the basement, and there's a limit to the amount that I can push this, and obviously not get sued or burn the house down or negate our whole insurance. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath now. I'm going to do a few more little shout outs and then we're going to sign off. Thank you for these sessions. They've definitely improved our online learning. Mr. Sweet, nice one, Mr. Sweet. What a cool name as well. Mama Hutter Friday. Moving the rod means that you don't knock the tinder bundle over if you strike using the metal striker. Fair enough. Yeah, nice. That's from Paul Gladwell. Could you say happy birthday to Peter? He's watching live. Happy birthday, Peter. Lewis got a bow drill for Christmas. No joy yet. Yeah, mate, they're hard to use, but fingers crossed, Friday lesson next week will get you getting an ember. And as you can see, I did that. Don't know how long I was going for, but it wasn't much more than 30 seconds, I don't think. And it's all about putting your weight into it and just having the bow drill action relaxed enough so that it doesn't take all your energy. Although you can tell that I'm still slightly out of breath. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Ed. Great stuff, Ed. This is something we need to practice. What do you recommend for the half board and spindle? What are the ones that I'm using? I think they were sycamore, actually. The thing is, I genuinely believe, and okay, really resinous woods aren't very good because of the resin in them. I think anything that's my top tip that I learned is if it's dead wood, it's got to be dead, obviously. If you can get your thumbnail into it and it leaves a mark, that's perfect. If you can't leave a mark, then that means it's too hard. And if it starts coming off in chunks, if it's too punky, then it's too dead. But if you can just leave a mark with your thumbnail, then you can get a bow drill. It's such an efficient method. You can get a bow drill working with most woods, really, which is cool. Love lots of people saying thank you. Harry, Matt, Damien, Sarah, Weight Loss Panda, Bud. Thank you all for joining in. Austin and Berwyn and Bridgend. Jess, Esther, Matty and Cheshire. Thea from Newark has managed to start a fire outside using a striker. Well done, mate. And you've gone outside to do it, which is great. Thank you. Thank you from Lewis. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed this. All right, lots of thanks. Right, guys, that's been amazing. Thank you for following the first week of this. It's a slow builder, you know. Lots of people who are engaging in it are putting amazing comments up and saying thank you, and we really appreciate that. What I would say is, if you like it, please share it with your friends. As adults, you know, share it with other parents who've got kids. As teachers, share it with your school or other teachers, and we'd love to continue this as long as we can through lockdown. Really, is the basic answer. We're not twiddling our thumbs. I don't think anyone is at the moment. You know, everyone has their own little worries or a little micro environment, and of course you've got to pay the bills and all of that sort of stuff. However, we do have space, and we thought we've got a set of skills that could be interesting to teach over the course of these mornings. So if they've been useful, then fantastic, and please spread the word. Tell as many people as possible. And on Monday, Stephen is cooking. What he's cooking, he hasn't told me yet, but it will be amazing. I've had some of Stephen's food and it is just remarkable. The things that he can do with very simple ingredients is something to behold. So thank you for tuning in. Monday, we're going to be back on the same YouTube channel at 10 AM, and please join us then. Take care, guys.